Okay, so we are back with the moon in the fifth house. You know, it's something about the moon in the fifth house that is just wanting so bad to express themselves. They just want to be seen for once. And not just seen, but seen for who they really are. Because people with moon in the fifth house has this thing to where a lot of times with maybe friends they get, now this is depending on also the sign that the moon is in. You know, we can see this even more with moon and Gemini in the fifth house. You know, where friends project the image of what they see you as onto you. Now, if it's just moon in the fifth house, this could have been done in another way. Like even growing up. Just not completely being able to express yourself, and without the ability to express yourself, people didn't know who you are or who you were. Sometimes what you wanted, sometimes what you needed. Like the list can go on. And so what they did was they began to place who they felt like you were, or who they thought you were, or just whatever they wanted to place on upon you. And that's what you became. A lot of moon and fifth house people become the people or the situations they're around. And they could have some very strong beliefs. And they can have some, I'm talking like on a deep level. Like, they could be in a situation or find themselves in situations to where they had a lot to say. They wanted to say it like right there in the moment, but then some way, somehow, didn't say it. They failed to express themselves. And then they went home later on and thought about everything that they could have said. It's like they could not find the strength to really tell how they really felt. Now, this could have came from like the mother figure or like someone that you live with in a family unit. The father figure, because the fifth house, the house of Leo, represents the father figure, not being heard by them or being made to shut up, be quiet. Some kind of way there was an emotional absence in this area, or just not having people to back you in being able to have a lot of confidence, express your self. A lot of people with the moon in their fifth house, they don't really exercise their ego. And that's a good thing. So on one end, yes, people want to be around you and people want to talk to you, communicate with you, have fun with you because they feel safe. That you're not going to really stand up in the way that you need to with them, where somebody else may. You see? So you can give people chances after chance. But then again, when you finally do stand up and project yourself and say what you stand for and express yourself, people could be like, they want to shun you for it, or they want to act like they're not listening, or they're not paying attention, or they feel offended, or they don't understand what's happening, because it's like, okay, well, you're not this usual person that you were. Like, what's happening here? So there's a lot of wanting to be validated. And you have to be careful. Moon in the fifth house has to be careful, because if you lack the validation coming up when you were younger, I mean, it could have been simple as like being involved in a sport or a band or something and having a concert and one of your parents not coming to it, or they're not putting enough energy into what you are trying to do. It's like you could have simply had parents that really didn't find any interest or importance in things that was associated with yourself, and they could have put that on other needs like family needs or the, you know, family security. They didn't really make you proud of necessarily being who you are and standing up for that. Now, I'm not saying that they try to make you not feel proud of it, but maybe there was a chance they didn't put any emphasis on it. Like for your self-expression and self-identity was up for sacrifice for the whole family. You know, it was like, well, this is what we do. This is just what we do. But the thing about it here, and as I'm talking about the subconscious mind, because that's what's at play here, it's something about the subconscious mind of the moon in the fifth house to where they keep telling themselves, well, you know what? I'm not good enough to be in the front. I'm not good enough to own the spotlight. I'm not good enough to shine. It's always something that you're not good enough. You basically, moon in the fifth house can lack courage. And even when you tell yourself, it could be situations to where you go out and you try for something or you do something, you attempt something, and then it doesn't go the way that you want at first. And then the first thing you tell yourself is, this is not fair because I'm really good in this. I could really do that better than that person. How did they win? Because you forgot that what you didn't notice about yourself is that you really didn't come through and shine like you were supposed to. It was something to where you really didn't bring all of yourself forward and where somebody else could have. And it took you a while. It could take people with moon in fifth house a while to work through a lot of the subconscious fights that they have with themselves regarding what they express and who they are, what they represent to the world, what they're supposed to portray. And when they do it, they can start off doing it half measures, and they can get beat up on quite a bit. If it's not physically, it's like in an emotional way or a psychological way through failed attempts and through people reject, like heavy rejection, until they get the point that, no, you're going to be a leader. You want to shine. You want to express yourself. You have to do it with all of yourself. You have to do it with not a doubt in your mind. The people in the fifth house need to actually act out of their ego, but they just need to learn the right way to act out of their ego, because it's somewhere down the side there's a lion that wants to come up and just raw. And everybody's waiting to see it because they're all looking and they're all like, I know there's something about you that I can't quite put my finger on, but I know it's there. They may even try to provoke people with moon in the fifth house sometimes. And the thing about it is, when people with moon in the fifth house get very angry or pushed to the limit of no return, that's when you see the lion. That's when you see the shine. But it shows up like a minute too late, where you could have operated in a different manner. Like you didn't have to have somebody take you there. You know, it's about understanding healthy ways of expressing the feelings. And actually, moon in the fifth house people can help other people rise to confidence, because after having to deal and work through those emotions and the subconscious aspects of those emotions, and you actually figure it out, and you say, you know what? Yes, I'm good in this, that, and all these things, but I don't have to be selfish with it. I can be the leader, and I can show others the way they can make it, they can do it, they can have self-esteem, they can have confidence. I can show them because I've been through it and I worked through it. And actually, moon and fifth house people can do really good working with children or being around children as well. Children may like just naturally like being around a person with the moon in the fifth house, because it's something about the moon in the fifth house person that children feel like just get them. And it could be because like people with moon in the fifth house, they felt like they just really, it was something about their childhood they didn't really live out in the way that they wanted to live out, or they didn't really experience in the way that they like to its fullest potential. It could have been a lot of starting stuff and then giving up. Now, if you had like an overprotective mother with moon in the fifth house, it could have been like your mother being happy or proud of you at the expense of what you really wanted to do and how you was really seeing yourself or proud of yourself, and then having to break free of that. But whatever the case may be, is something always going on in the subconscious mind that's telling the moon in the fifth house person why they're not good enough and why they can't rise to the occasion and why they shouldn't. And if I really put myself out there and I really shine and I really show my talents, then I would outdo this person or that person. And I don't want to do that to them. It's still an excuse because of the lack of courage sometimes, when you really think about it. And moon and people with moon in the fifth house, they can use a lot of feelings that they go through. They can actually take a lot of things that they've experienced that really hurt or scarred them when they were younger, or just period in life, and they can show great comebacks. And then they can make great healers because of this, and leaders because of this, because they are real leaders. They know how to lead from the background if they needed to, and where they push people forward and encourage people, and then they can know how to take that front leader position, because most times they wouldn't be doing it out of just sheer ego. They'll be doing it from their heart. A lot of people with Moon and Leo operate from their heart, and they need to learn to, because if they're scarred bad enough, they'll tend to kind of shut that part off of themselves and show like the more aggressive side. But when they're properly worked through a lot of their subconscious aspects that goes on in behavior, then they start to see, oh, I'm only using this as a defense mechanism, and you have to, with moon in the fifth house, you have to consciously want to shine. You have to consciously be in the moment so that you can express yourself the way that you need to. And you have to consciously do these things. Because if you don't, you can talk yourself out of strength, great strength that you have. Okay. This has been Moon in the fifth house. I'm Butterfly to Life, and I'm going to be bad.